Hello people, and welcome back to part 39 of Palaven, our vanilla Cities Skylines build. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and thank you for all the kind comments, support and suggestion on the last episode where we introduced this little mountain ore quarry into the area. And I think it's made a fine addition, hasn't it? Really nice way to use up some difficult terrain, and also dive into some ore industry stuff as well. And we're going to continue in this vibe today. So we mentioned last episode, let's swing by to a little bit of daytime action here. So we mentioned last episode that we might put kind of like a mining town in here, this little basin, little crater, whatever this is. We're going to put a mining town in, I think. And we'll also introduce our external rail line switch point into this place as well. So we'll bring the external people, allow them to switch onto an internal line, and then take them into the rest of Palaven via a new train network, which will flow predominantly in this part of the map. But we will bring some stops kind of down here and along these areas as well, I suppose. Because there is another external line here. So we can probably put them in. Fantastic. Okay. So, big space to work with today, but we're going for a very kind of unique style. Kind of an old run-down mining town. Almost like a community that was expanded away from the ore quarry to accommodate workers and whatnot. I'm sure that Lore Master Connor will deliver some hot lore into the comments if anyone cares. But let's get started, shall we? Let's work on Palaven's mining town. So I think the first thing we're going to do is establish where our train stations are going to lie, because these are going to be kind of the meat and potatoes of the town, right? You know, everything's kind of focused around the train station. And there's actually an incredible opportunity for some part life cheese here, if we were to actually come through and do it. I guess we'll see towards the end. Let's start with the road. I want to leave a little bit of a border between the highway and the street, of course, for some detailing. And then let's have a little look at our design, shall we? Let's bring our roads up a little bit here. And if we come across, that's going to leave us 5 tiles in the middle to do something with, and we can maybe come through there too. And that's going to leave us, and that's going to give us a little symmetrical rectangle. And perfectly, we can actually centralize straight on that. Amazing. When does that ever happen? So I think because we're going for fairly small town vibes here, rather than using one of the pre-made plazas, because I think if we were to come through with maybe like a zoo plaza or something here. It's not really old town, is it? It's not really old mining town vibes. So I think what we'll do with these little plazas is come through with no snapping and our vanilla gravel path tool. And then just start to formulate some little paths that flow through these spaces. And then we can even come through and drop in some part life gazebos here. Of course, it wouldn't be a man-made plaza without some light fence detailing around the edge. Get a couple here and there. Let's dive into part life. We do also have this little prop option as well. Maybe squeeze some of these in. But again, I think they're more assets for the diesel time maps maybe. And then let's grab ourselves a gazebo. Again, because we are so close to the road, we can place it. It will be recognised as connected. Okay, and then maybe just a touch of the Old Faithful. Even get down into the nitty gritty and come through with a little bit of bush spice just around the edges of the path. You know, I think that just screams Old Town. This is very hastily put together, clearly. We can refine this design, and because we're essentially going to have 4 of these patterns to work with, as the pattern repeats itself on this side of the highway as well. I think it's better, you know. It's a lot more Old Town than the zoo plazas are. Let's come back with all our snapping, and we'll now align with this side of the highway instead. Oh, that's so annoying that that node is out. Oh no. Can we come to this one? Yeah, okay. We're fine here, I think, aren't we? So that for there. Got the same spacing. Because 350 is how much we came out by. And then we can draw that back down. Introduce it here. And then we'll grab ourselves second train station. So the point of doing this, for those that don't know, when you're working with trains as public transport and you're bringing in passengers from the external national lines here, you don't want to be merging your passenger lines and national lines onto the same train line, because then you get a lot of train traffic and it starts to back up. Allow the external people to arrive at one train station and then move them into the internal network. You'll save yourself a lot of trouble in the long run. But we can see the potential for park life cheese here, right? Allowing people to walk over the highway. We may even bring a road bridge in at some point, I suppose. We'll kind of see how things pan out first of all. Okay, so now let's introduce a way into the town for the townsfolk. Let's come with our curve tool. And we'll arrive from this roundabout. And let's come... Terrain's a little bit funky here, isn't it? Let's come into our terraforming. Grab ourselves... Let's have a look at the lay of the land here. I'm happy for... Like, this stuff is okay. I'm not going to terraform all this. I think mainly just the entrance around the roundabout here. We'll just trim a little bit of this away. There's a little more leeway to make the entrance into the town that much more appealing. And then let's come out by 10. And then we'll curve by 10. Actually, I think we'll come out a little bit first. Maybe by 300. And then we'll get that 10 curve on the go. It's kind of very similar to how we started Palaven, with this little kind of curved main road here. Okay, and then let's bring this road down. And we can now start to expand our town pattern around this key arterial and hook it into the train station over here as well. I think what we will also do is either side of these, if we come with an industrial road, a one-way industrial road, and then we'll just provide a couple of little slip roads for people in the town to get straight on the highway, rather than them having to come back through the dumbbell interchange over here that's serving the ore industry. They can't just slip through and head onto the highway straight from here. And it's kind of similar to what we did over by the industrial town centre and the Hill Tram suburb. So again, we'll almost border this little slip road off with just a touch of ore fencing. You know, we are in the old mining town, if you will. So I think it's important that we keep seeing those repeated aesthetics here, you know. I think maybe take it off this side. Maybe replace this with a smaller fence. Maybe something from the farm industry, maybe. I'll bring this down. That looks a little nicer. A little bit of dual fence spice here, actually. And we do need to continue decorating the highway as well, which we're mainly using, I think it's zoo fences and conifers for the highway decoration around here, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, we can bring all these nice highway vibes over to the industrial town centre as well. I think in terms of a town centre formed around a highway, 2 train stations with a repeated path pattern and some bushes in there too. Let's continue to play this idea, shall we? So those varying patterns start from different points, but ultimately you want to kind of be dropping people off at the crossroads, right? There's a couple of different designs that we can get involved with today, I think. Let's keep it fresh. There we go. Okay. Fantastic. And of course we do want to actually prepare our train lines before we do anything else. So let's go with all our snapping. And we kind of want to map out where this is going to go. I think it'd be cool to get some tunnel vibes going through this little landmass rather than bringing the rail line over it. So we'll snap to the angle and then we'll prepare our train lines to come down this way. And then when we do come to introduce the train line into this part of the map, we'll have that ready to go. Okay, we can get some nice wooded vibes between the highway and the rail here too. There's a lot of open, empty space there. And likewise again, I'm going to go ahead and hook in this side, probably bring it as a bridge over this point. Not a huge fan of doing elevated rail bridges, but at least we've got the connection for right now. We can always refine on a live stream, right? So I'll hook this in and then we'll be right back. So I'm thinking what we'll eventually do with this railway that we're working with right now is do what we did with it in the theme park entrance into the downtown. See how we sunk it under the rail? I think what we'll do is we'll do a fair bit of terraforming over and around this dumbbell, because you can see this is like maximum jankiness. Not a fan of these elevated railroads at all, but it's hooked in and it's functional for right now, but I think we'll end up sinking it and get some nice cool slip bridges to come over. And then we'll kind of bring it down here as well. I think that'll be a nice little project for a stream. But for right now, it makes the build somewhat functional, and we have people moving in and out of this area, which is what we want. Okay, so let's begin to flesh out our pattern here. I think for the main streets up against the downtown here, we're going to primarily move with our grass roads, and then as we come into kind of the suburb and the smaller housing areas up against the rail line here, we'll switch to some dirt road action. You don't want to remain it parallel with the railway, because that's going to give us some nice detail opportunities as well. Okay. So we'll sever our concrete connection here, that'll be fine. And then we'll also rework our main road to run parallel. And then we can grab this again with a freeform and just get a nice little smooth connection in like this. Okay, fantastic. And I think what we'll do here is save some space for commercial, maybe a unique building in here. I can't imagine any of them off the top of my head are going to work immediately well for what I'm after here, but we'll have a little look through the list and see what we've got to play with. Okay, so just nice commercial open park and rec space. I think this will be okay. We'll come through and do some stuff with this later. Let's hook our arterial in as well at a couple of points. I guess do we want to bring the arterial to an end here? And we can then flow into some kind of dirt road suburbs. I think that's the vibe we're going to go for. So from this point onwards, let's start mapping out some dirt road networks. This isn't going to be like a hugely densely populated town, you know, it's old mining vibes after all. So we have to work with the new aesthetic today. We'll see what we can come up with. So very similar to what we did with the end of the road in the actual ore industry. See how we kind of have the arterial and then it just splits off into dirt in 3 directions? No, it's all about repeating the same pattern and vibes. This is like, I guess it's a partnered build, right? So it's nice to keep those same aesthetics in there. So we'll do this over here as well. Let's bring them in, sever this connection, and then we can line a little easier. And then bring this one up. So just a fairly random dirt road pattern here. Nothing crazy. And I think, you know, we'll keep switching up those road textures as well, so it almost does look a little bit mismatched, a little bit unplanned. And then we'll just have to bring off some fairly straight roads here. We'll map ourselves out a fairly significant zoning network to start with, and then we can start getting in some smaller residential assets. And then we'll continue this one. I think what we'll do here is let's upgrade this into a 2-way highway right here, okay? Bring it down a little further, and then what we'll do is when we come to explore this side of the map, we can almost have like a little mountainside highway here, you know? I think that'll be nice. I think that will be nice. I think it's something that we can all enjoy. So we'll bring it down, and then let's come ourselves a 10 curve, and then we'll just start preparing for this little mountain highway road to begin ascending up. It probably will need significant terraforming to get it to sit somewhat naturally. You can see if we just do it like that, these slopes are, I guess, not totally unrealistic. But, you know, just a little high-speed road that takes people over the mountain, basically, you know. Because this is a pretty significant beast on this side of the map. Okay. Cool. And then we can almost use this highway road as like our border for where the mining town ends, right? So again, just really simple. This is almost like starting a new city, I suppose, isn't it? You know, we're in a brand new part of the map, we're using dirt roads, even though we don't use dirt roads to start on this channel. But I think we'll have a couple of these little dirt road connections just come up towards the highway. Be nice to decorate these out as well, once we get there. Okay, but as a general structure, we're now starting to see some themes and some patterns appear. And I think what we'll also do here is open up this train station into the mining, or the worker barracks here. Let's bring it across. I probably wouldn't do this road crossing on the internal lines, because the trains are going to be so infrequent. We can afford to have a train crossing here. It's not going to cause vast amounts of issues. Okay, wonderful. Now we could do the same here. My only concern with doing what we did at this point is that we're a little close to the dumbbell junction here. This isn't ideal. So I think we'll probably leave that side. If they want to exit through that way, then they can just take the dumbbell. That's fine. And let's also come here as well. Let's have this little slip road mirrored on this point. Of course, don't forget to change our direction. Fantastic. We should start to see some people move through these areas once the tower becomes active, but as a general structure, this is going to do me nicely. It's a nice little frame to flesh out. So I'll hook up with water and power, and then we'll start placing some assets, shall we? Okay, so we have our temporary power connection in across the highway. And now let's start to map out some potential zoning sizes that we want to go for here. We're going to stick fairly small. I'll plop a 4x4 in just to see what comes in. But I imagine we'll end up using a few of the Plop the Growables stuff today, just to kind of get the vibe that we're after. But we'll place in some assets and we'll see what comes in together, shall we? Have a little look here. And we'll also start to designate a little bit of commercial zoning alongside our highway here. I think we'll go for 3 spaces in between. And then what I'll do with these is maybe come through with a touch of nature reserve with decoration. And very kind of wild, unplanned is the vibe I'm aiming for here. We'll bring in a path border along the back and then sink it through a couple of places. And then we'll come through with that. I think we will snap to the grid here actually with our nature reserve fence. And then we'll just frame. Oh, no, not that. What was that? What did I nearly just do? Tornado. That would have been disastrous. Reload. Okay, and then let's come through with a little bit of our taller tree spice. Keep mixing and matching the assets. Get a nice little variation going here. He says as he repeats the same tree palette for the 39th episode straight. But I think that's going to be a nice little bit of highway decoration, right? Except you. We don't like you. But these are fine. These will be okay. I think it's alright, isn't it? It's like a small town little diner, a little bit of Red Robin spice perhaps. Or pancakes. Pancakes International. Fantastic. Okay, so let's see what's coming in here. This is very much the vibe I'm after. This does not fit the theme at all. Let's get that away. That was the 4x4, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. So 4x4s are totally out of the question. Looks like 3x3s are going to be the way to go. But we'll just hang around here and see which ones we fancy. Yeah, it's these smaller, almost shantytown vibes is what we're going for here, but not like proper shantytown, you know, we don't know. There's no like poverty around here. This is just low income housing. Welcome to the channel, everyone. We are going to use Plop the Growables to introduce some of these smaller little assets in here. I believe a lot of these residential assets are from the University Content Creator Pack. Fairly sure they are. So if you're wondering why they're not appearing within your 2x3 spacing or whatever variation you go for, it's probably because you don't have that pack installed. However, links are available down below to Instant Gaming should you wish to pick up some of the DLCs for some pretty good prices. Okay. That's probably a little bit too big for what we're after. But no, not massively densely packed in. And then I think what we'll do is between the railway and the kind of suburban pattern here is we'll come through with some pointless green belt. Which basically just means that, you know, we're fleshing out that area. We can also hook it in a number of places where the roads meet. And then I think we'll grab some... I'd rather use oil industry fence, I think, up against these. Do we want to go for oil? I guess we'll try both. I think we have to use the ore, don't we? Just because of where we are. I have spoken about repeating things before already this episode, so... Can't contradict myself now. I just think the oil works better for the rails, doesn't it? But it's fine. We'll run with the ore for right now. And again, just to kind of keep these small town, almost dilapidated vibes going, I think we'll just have a little bit of small parkland. That'll help sync the power through for the residentials as well. And then again, just bordering up my little false green belt with some nature reserve fence. It's a very unique style that we're using today, but it's also a very repetitive one as well, I think. Again, to sweep through with that larger tree pallets, introduce some Palaven pines into the area as well, almost to remind ourselves that we are actually in Palaven after all. Just little clusters of trees here and there. And I think, you know, rather than just leaving this space between the residentials and the railway unpopulated, you can tell what it is looking at it from the houses, right? I think this would be quite a nice vibe to replicate as we move through this suburban area here. Nice to see some people coming down the roads. Does anybody want to come and visit yet? Yes, hello. Oh no, this is a partner maintenance person. Well, thanks for coming anyway. No one wants to come. Oh, garbage truck. Okay, that's fine. It's fine for right now. The masses will come, I'm sure. Let's mooch through and historic some of these frontal buildings. That's going to be nice. Be cool to see when we get some people arriving here. See where they choose to go. Okay. So, with the spaces that we have, obviously, you know, if we continue to place in our larger, or smaller, I guess, kind of more shanty looking residential, we can then start to have a discussion about what we're going to do with the pattern in between. So I think we'll come a little more landscaped here. Let's grab ourselves the regular gravel path and we'll start to flesh out a little bit of a pattern between these houses that will start to kind of appear around this neighbourhood in a number of different locations. bring this one through the middle as well, and then one down there. So just filling out those spaces, and then I think we'll come through with some forestry fence and just start to border off a few of these pathways. Let's bring it down here as well, and then we can come up from these points. Don't think we'll have it everywhere. You almost start to get some slight maze vibes if we kind of put them all over the place. But I think this will do. And then with the spaces that are kind of left open, we can come through with some of the slightly larger rock assets, of course. Overgrowth is key. Can't forget the overgrowth, obviously. Let's bring that through there as well. And then into this one. Just a couple of little spots of it around the base of the rocks. And then we can just come out. So, you know, this type of build absolutely is not meant for like population expansion. It's just a nice little design and change away from the, I guess, the cityscape, right? You know, we're playing with small town vibes here again. It's been a while since we've done some small town stuff. A lot of the recent episodes have been very downtown focused, so it's nice to almost get back to your roots, isn't it? There we go. Okay. Oh, look at that skyline. Yes, please. This is the first time we've seen it from here. Oh, yes. Well, guys, that feels like a good place to end the series. Well, thank you all so much for watching, as always. Oh, yeah, man, I'm buzzing, beaming at that. Let's get a little look from up over here, shall we? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, happy days. Actually just made my Tuesday. Okay, but we can see these smaller rural mining town vibes beginning to take shape now, I think. You know, it's not all packed in, it's not zoning against zoning against zoning. There is a little bit of variation, a little bit of change. So now that we've kind of decided on the aesthetic of our little mining town here, we can begin to repeat this pattern in a number of places and start to introduce some more through roads. Make things a little more interesting. We can maybe get some nice repeated road up against road spice here. So if you are kind of wondering the zoning tiles that we're using for these assets, 3x3 is a good shout. I will again confirm on screen as to whether or not these assets are from the University Content Creator Pack. I'm fairly sure that they are. And we'll just start to introduce some little blocks around here. So lots of 2x3s and 3x3s, fairly small zonings compared to a lot of the other stuff. Let's maybe bring in some of the smaller 1x2 assets here in a repeated pattern as well. You're getting some pretty strong trailer park vibes out of these ones down here towards the end as well. Little 1x1 housings. Maybe even go for like a super heavy repeated row of these. Do they look weird kind of stacked up against each other like this? No, I think they're okay, aren't they? I think they're actually alright. We'll maybe have some up to maybe towards the highway. We'll kind of keep this area over here to sprawl out a little more, I suppose. So I'm going to carry on doing this, guys. I'm going to keep placing my 2x3 and 3x3 low density residential zoning assets around here. If you are playing without Plop the Growables, then those are your zoning measurements, either 3x3 or 2x3, and you will have a chance of generating these guys in. So we'll continue to flesh it out, and then we can come through with this repeated little part pattern and essentially generate this little spy screenshot across the whole town. I'm fairly happy with the placement of the housing assets here. Very spread out, very sparse. And lots of open space. We've introduced some slightly nicer assets up alongside the main road here. Again, using the old faithful road up against road design. Just to help give it some nice layering, I think. And people are finally arriving. Nice to see, thank you. Here they come. Of course, take traffic lights away. But interesting that they already prefer the highway road to get into this side of town, which would make sense. It is the faster road. Amazing. It's not often you see one of these in a mining town, is it? Like a little personal scooter. Oh, there was 4 people in that thing. Oh my god. Like a Russian doll. Okay, wonderful. Bring some water vibes over to these people. Fantastic. And then we can begin to flesh out with our pattern here. So again, fairly random. It was dirt path it wasn't it? Yeah, it was. So we'll just stick to the grid, since we're working with mostly 90-degree angles here. And then we'll just have to bring it through in a couple of places. Again, in terms of like the functionality of this path, it's not kind of the most use you're ever going to see. But just as little walkways and alleyways. In England we would call this a back alley. Be interesting to see what you guys call it in your part of the world. But you know, just some little repeated prop spice to sit behind these buildings. I think we'll go a long way. Let's bring some down here as well. And again, I think we'll run with the path border along this side. Allows us to get some of those nice torn textures in. Makes the ground look a little bit rougher, I think. We've also got the elementary school here as well. Okay, let's factor in some kind of elementary school park design using a dirt road, shall we, off this main arterial. Let's come out from here. And then we'll bring it up into this point. Grab ourselves a nice little elementary school here. It actually looks like an ore mining asset itself. It's quite Soviet, quite brutalist, I think. And of course I want a higher school for them as well. I don't really want to use this one here. I think we will use the European one. I think we can maybe make room for it. Just behind here a little. We'll educate all our Sims. I think that's a nice little backdrop to these frontal buildings too. Having a school here. Okay, and then again, because we are levering, and then again, because we are leaving space between, we'll come on with our grid snapping, at least while we draw in, and then just bring this as a border up against the road, and then repeat our nature reserve fence design to run parallel, which I think will just add a nice little layer of detail up against the school there. Nothing too serious, you know. Fairly light detailing as far as detailing is concerned. We'll definitely want some parkland to accompany the elementary school here. We can actually squeeze one of these in, which does kind of work perfectly with the elementary school here. We could even get a repeated pattern with the assets here. I think we'll try that. Let's work to that idea and see what we think. Let's first complete our little bordering grid. And then we'll bring this as best into the middle as we can judge it. Then we'll grab ourselves a couple of little parkland spots here. Little green tree spice out front, maybe. See how this looks? This might look a little too landscaped, but I think we'll just kind of get the general idea as to how we're beginning to look down Mining Town Main Street here, I suppose. I think we're starting to introduce some nice layers. There's some key assets starting to pop, like the train station and the high school and elementary school in the back here. We're going to get someone using the slip road as well. Yeah, plenty of people using it. Very nice, that's what we like to see. So you can see now, as people will just prefer this way out of town, rather than having to drive back through and get on the dumbbell. Just a little slip road like this just helps alleviate the pressure off of your kind of primary interchanges, right? Oh, here comes a train. Yes, please. Let's see where they go. I imagine a lot of them at the minute will drive. Until we get our internal train network hooked up. Yeah, everyone's driving. This is why it's important to have a secondary public transport network hooked up to your external train lines. Because this happens. And if this is in a downtown setting, this murders your traffic. You have to have supplementary support, which we will do eventually. We'll have this active train line here. I do want to have a look at the possibility of a pathway to float over. I think we've been neglecting the university paths elevated for quite a long time, and I think we're going to run with them. So, I think, is it the... There's one of them, it's this one, isn't it? It has like a copper tint to it. Yeah, we have to use this one, don't we? We just have to. We're in the ore mining area. Let's come to road length, and we'll come out by... Is 11 going to be too long? I think it'll be okay. And then we'll snap to our angle. And no road length or grid this time, while we come into the middle. Fantastic. Snap back to the grid. And then we can come back down to where we lifted off. I think that'd be a nice little bit of highway decoration too. Kind of flowing over this waterway. You know, this is what we can turn into a park life cheese. And charge everyone to cross the highway into this train station. But I guess we'll kind of see. I can't say I'm not really too bad about park life cheeses, but if you do have a similar scenario in your own city where you have kind of a highway with nothing either side of it, plan a town around it and cheese the life out of the Sims. It's always a nice idea, I think. I think we use the smaller fire station though, this one. So maybe let's have this up on the corner here as they come into town. And then we'll use the old school police station as a key asset up alongside the train station. Let's get in some more commercial. Trying to stay away from the 4x4 zonings here, because as they level up they tend to get quite a lot bigger. And again, we'll switch back to nature as a path. And we want to draw right to left so we get our lights on the right hand side. And then again, maybe just a really small park life asset in here. Just on the corner with a couple of trees around it. You know, nothing drastically serious, just the most delicate of spice, if you will. And we get some fencing. Let's come around here too. Okay, we'll watch this corner flash out as these new assets come in. We'll start to see what we think of our little mine. Oh yeah, we got the red robin thing in. Pennies. I like this asset. This is a nice one. Splendid. It's coming together, I think, isn't it? It is coming together. Nice little development happening here. Don't like this anymore. So let's introduce some supplementary assets to sit up alongside. I think that's really want to come to dirt path here. Just to sit up alongside the high school. Maybe introduce a couple of sports courts. And maybe a park life asset to sit up alongside them as well. Perhaps would an info booth look ridiculous? Almost like a changing room? Or does that look stupid? It's a shame we don't get any kind of like football fields or cricket fields. Because at least in England, high schools have a lot of kind of open ground near them for kind of sports and recreation, PE, etc. A little bit of PE spice. But we don't get that in the unmodded game. Maybe in Cities 2. Maybe in Cities 2. Okay, I don't think I'm super bothered about hooking the back of the train station in here. To take away a little bit of this nature reserve fence as well, now that the path has moved. Yeah. But you can actually have paths connect to this side of the train station, and they will use it. So if that sounds like a bit of you, then give it a try. You can get some nice designs with them. And again, just flash out with a little bit of the popular tree palette. Add some Palaven pines in here as well, perhaps. Okay, so due to City's ridiculous traffic AI, we have had to downgrade this into a single lane slip, which is fine. It still looks great. I just prefer the industrial texture. But they're merging like quilts onto the highway from this point, so we're gonna have to go with the one-way slip road, I'm afraid. But we can bring our fence spice back into it, at least. Starting to get some nice vibes around this side of the highway now. You can definitely tell there's a town here as we drive past, right? Oh, hello! Yes! They're using it. And then all immediately driving. This will eventually have them all immediately take the train. Also, I'm fairly sure, doesn't this line hooks into the downtown, doesn't it? I should know, it's my city. Yeah, this takes them into the transport hub, so we've got another train line here. We could give them a direct connection now. Straight into the downtown. I think we will. Maybe. We'll see, of course, as always. I think what I also want to do here as well is just draw out a little extension of the ore industry area and add in some smaller, almost maintenance yard vibes. I'm going to go for a small industrial road and then bring it parallel with the high-speed road. Let's bring a border up here. Let's dive into that ore industry. I think maybe... What's the noise pollution value on these? Kind of loud. How about the maintenance building? Yeah, we can definitely have one of these. Okay, let's throw in a storage unit and a maintenance building asset. Just as like little... Just to remind ourselves that it's a mining town, you know. They do have some infrastructure from the industry over here. And then we'll bring this road down. And allow the industrial trucks to come down this road rather than forcing their way through the high street here. But this, guys, does feel like a good place to jump into a detailing time lapse. We are going to continue to basically repeat this pattern across the rest of the town. Bring some of the kind of the mountain forest vibes that we've got around the quarry up onto this mountain, so it kind of sits within the same palette, right? And then we'll also come through and detail this kind of central highway reservation. And I think I'll probably go ahead and hook the train line into the downtown line as well, just so we can see some trains leave from this station for the outro charge, of course. Okay guys, that is going to do it for today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, a like below is always appreciated. As much if you haven't enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a dislike as well. Really happy with this. It's a really unique style and it works quite nicely with the rest of the landscape. And there's certainly more work to be done around here. We need to come through and sort out that rail bridge that passes over the interchange. We will sync that during a live stream. And also continue to terraform the mountain so we can begin to work with this kind of mountainside highway that will take people over the ridge and into what will probably be the European district of Palaven. The farmland is towards the coastline. Do hang around for the rest of the outro tag. You guys wouldn't have seen all the detailing. There was a fair chunk of it to do, and this place should have a fantastic view over to the downtown at night time. I'm sure the cinematics will reflect it. Otherwise, I will shut up and I will leave it there. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.